Gaming is stale. Now, before you jump into the comments telling me I don't have a clue what I'm talking about, just hear me out. Also, this is my personal opinion. If you want a video on your opinion, you should make one. Alright, let's begin.
Let's see what you got here. Does this hurt? Oh! Does this hurt? Oh! Does that tickle? You know what's funny? This is my chart. Sometimes it's story time. Hey, what's for dinner around here? Dinner around here. Dinner around here.
So, I just want to say that gaming has always been a part of my life since I was old enough to hold a controller. I remember playing Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Tony Hawk, Pro Skater 3, Need for Speed. Dude, there's so many games. I would play for hours every Friday night until I couldn't keep my eyes open. That was when gaming was special. Gaming in the early 2000s, it was so different than it is now. If games were released unfinished or broken, then it was the legacy of that game. No day one patch, no updates years after the game release. In order for the games of the past to do well, they had to release perfect, and if it wasn't, then it was released and thrown into a bargain bin months later. When I was younger, this didn't matter as much. When you got a game as a kid, it was rare, generally for your birthday or Christmas, and it didn't matter if the game was good or trash because you were stuck with it and you had to find fun with it. Now turn to today, and I have the ability to buy any game that comes out. But with that access to everything, I feel overwhelmed and end up playing something I've been playing for the past 2 years. Nothing new coming out is able to pull me in. Maybe it's because I'm older, or maybe it's because of broken games. Nice segue, Boomer. Thanks, dick! Most games that release today are clearly unfinished on day one, whether it's bugs, game-breaking glitches, or locking base content behind paywall. It all leads to the same issue. Publishers do not care about the gamer. They care about how much money they can milk from each consumer instead of putting the time and quality into their video games. I've been trying to figure out why my love for video games has been fading over the years, and I think part of it has to be because of these lackluster, unfinished games being so chock full of microtransactions, game-breaking issues, and monotonous side missions that it takes all the fun out of it for me. With games releasing like this, I don't understand how they justify a $70 price tag. Honestly, though, when I think of AAA titles, the first games that pop in my head are games like Uncharted, Spider-Man, The Last of Us. Those are all great games, some of my personal favorites. The issues I have with AAA games is they generally have 3 styles of gameplay: third-person cinematic, first-person shooter, or massive open-world grind fests. I'm going to go over these types of games in a little detail, starting with the cinematic games. These are probably my favorite out of the 3 styles. They are often fun, engaging, and don't overstay their welcome. However, they play essentially the same. This can make these types of games stale or tiring after playing 2 or 3 of them. Adding on to this, games like Spider-Man, Batman, and God of War all play very similar. I can understand developers doing this to allow for quicker learning curves and similar controls for games. However, all this does is make your original game feel like every other game, and it makes gaming feel, well, stale. Now, for first-person shooters, this one's a little tricky for me. I didn't play many shooters until I was about 13, where my brothers introduced me to Black Ops Zombies, and I loved it. There was just something about mowing down zombies with an AK-47 on a split screen with your friends that's just unforgettable. I played a little bit of co-op multiplayer, but never really got into it until Modern Warfare 2019. This game was my first experience of online multiplayer FPS, and I hated it. I could not even compete in the lobbies. I didn't have any friends that were playing this game, so I put it on the shelf and I didn't really touch it until March 2020. Quarantine. This was the best thing that happened to me. All my friends were playing Warzone and Modern Warfare every day. I put thousands of hours into these games and I started to get better and better. When Cold War was announced, I was ecstatic until I put the game in and realized that this is just a worse version of Modern Warfare with bugs and glitches and major graphical issues. So, I started looking into Rainbow Six, which was slightly different but essentially just S&D on Modern Warfare to me. I couldn't understand the hype, so I moved on to Battlefield. And what did I find? This is just Modern Warfare but with big maps. And every one of these games is submerged, deep fried in a river of microtransactions. Also, if you want to unlock weapons that even have a chance at competing, you have to spend hours upon hours of playing just to get one gun leveled up, just for that gun to be obsolete when the next update comes out. I have a love-hate relationship with FPS games, because they're so easy to pop in and play with friends, but they never seem to really fulfill that gaming itch I have.
Oh my god! Oh no!
Massive open world games are just that. Massive open worlds. You get lost in the beautiful landscape, the realistic graphics, and the sheer amount of things to do. This is where these games take a fall, in my opinion. With so many options, it leaves the gamer overwhelmed and not sure where to start. For me, this quickly affects my interest in these games. The story in these are bare bones, and they often depend on gameplay to keep your interest. However, when you're trying to navigate the world, I often don't enjoy the open worlds. I find myself fast traveling or trying to find the fastest way to get to the next objective. Part of this is due to the lack of open worlds that feel alive and active. More often, they can feel dead with minimal NPCs or traffic to give the sense of a world being lived in. Gaming may not be in the worst spot, but it definitely is not good when it comes to AAA titles, with the occasional exception. I've been playing a lot more older AAA games recently, and I couldn't believe the difference in game quality that came out on the PS2 and PS3 that clearly surpasses the PS4 and even some PS5 titles. Now, this is the part where I anger some people when I talk about Nintendo, because personally, I have never been a big Nintendo fan. I tried to play Mario and Zelda and several other titles, but they never really hooked me like other titles have. And I'm not saying these are bad games, far from it. I may not have played these games myself, but I have seen gameplay, reviews, etc., explaining these games in depth. I wish I could enjoy these titles. I think my biggest issue is I don't know what I enjoy playing. I just know it when I play it. Unfortunately, this is a common problem my friends and I have faced over the past couple years. We keep trying new games to find the right one that is for us, but no matter what we play, after about an hour or two, we're burnt out and ready to get off. This feeling sucks because gaming is my most important pastime. It's where I can escape and not think about the world around me for a few hours. However, when I get on and get frustrated almost immediately, it kills all the ideas of fun and throws them in the river. I think the biggest issue I have is too many video games. I often find myself getting overwhelmed by the games I have, so I go into an easy pop-in and play Tony Hawk, Warzone, Multiverse, something like that. These games are easy to pick up and play immediately. With single-player games, I almost feel intimidated to start. By starting, I'm agreeing to devote a minimum of 10 hours to the game. That may not sound like a lot. However, with a full-time job and adult priorities, that is more than you realize. Getting myself to sit down and play through a game has been more work than I would like to admit. I turn on my PlayStation and stare at the screen, debating what I want to play, and I just end up turning it off and watch something instead. I want to find a game that hooks me in with its story or gameplay, but I just feel like I can't get into it. When I started writing this, I thought that maybe it's because I'm getting older and busy, so gaming isn't as much fun. I was talking with my little brother who's been going through the same issue with gaming, and he made me realize that maybe it's not gaming that's stale, but the games that I'm playing. I'd love to find some good games, whether they are indie titles, old gems, or brand new games. If anyone has a recommendation, I'd love to hear it. Leave a comment and I'll do my best to check out what you guys recommend. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.